There are two major physical regions in Brazil. The first one is the one most people associate with the country. But notice, the Amazon basin accounts for less than half of the country. Most of the southern part of Brazil is made up of the Brazilian Highlands. This is basically an ancient, uplifted plateau. More on that shortly. We're going to start with the Amazon. The Amazon rainforest is oftentimes rightfully described as the planet's lungs. We have a symbiotic relationship with plants on Earth. We produce carbon dioxide and require oxygen. Plants produce oxygen and require carbon dioxide for part of their photosynthetic process. Furthermore, the Amazon is the most biodiverse place on Earth. Plants, insects, animals, all of these abound in stunning diversity in the Amazonian rainforest, which is the largest tropical rainforest on the planet. The Amazon is really a global treasure. It's housed primarily in one country, Brazil, though we know that several other countries in South America have Amazonian rainforest. It's not like it conforms to man-made boundaries. Agriculture in rainforest is almost in totality conducted using a method known as slash and burn. Slash and burn describes exactly what happens. A farmer heads out to the forest, picks a dozen or so acres of land, usually not noticeably owned by anyone other than perhaps the government, and cuts down the vegetation. That's the slash part. This leaves behind massive piles of downed forest, which then must be cleared off. The way they do it is they burn it. Then it's gone. The ashes act as an infusion of fertilizer into the ground, and off they go. Plant the land and start growing crops. The obvious problem, looking at it from the lungs of the earth standpoint, is that you just killed something that produces oxygen and absorbs carbon dioxide. Thus, it's breaking the symbiotic bond. Because this is a rainforest, it rains. The Amazon gets about 300 days per year of rain. The rain falls, percolates through the soil, and causes something known as leaching to occur. This is the loss of soil nutrients due to precipitation. Within 3 to 5 years, the soil is leached out and can no longer grow crops. What do? Move next door. There are trees growing there too, so cut them down and start all over again. As a result of this, slash and burn is also referred to as shifting cultivation because the farmers have to move from plot to plot over time. Now, provided there are not a lot of people doing this, the forest regrows over about 20 to 25 years. If there are not many farmers doing this in the manner, in the area that I just described, the farmer will return to this same plot after a couple of decades. The problem has become, especially in places like Brazil, that either lots of people do this, opening up vast swaths of deforested land, or they graze cattle. The cows spend their days, of course, eating. And as trees attempt to regrow, the cows eat them. Meanwhile, the rain keeps falling, and ultimately the soil washes off into the Amazon and out into the Atlantic and is gone. Then, nothing will grow. Take a look. Yeah, not great. Now let's look at the Brazilian Highlands. This area is mostly templata land. Remember altitudinal zonation? And in Brazil, this land is fertile. Because of that, the country is a massive producer of agricultural products that are used domestically and shipped abroad. Like what? They're the number one producer of coffee in the world, the number one producer of citrus products in the world, the number two producer of sugar in the world. They were number one until a couple of years ago. The number two producer of beef and the number one exporter of beef in the world. The number two producer of soybeans in the world. In addition to that, they're major producers of cacao, out of which, of course, you make chocolate, and sugarcane-based ethanol, which you can run an automobile on. These things alone would be enough to put Brazil on the map. But of course, there's much more.